Hey everybody, Steven here, and for today's video, I just wanted to talk about something that I've been talking more and more with my clients about as we kind of progress through a lot of the different modalities that I use in my training systems with them. And we go from like strength training to natural movement or parkour, or using the grip approach or DNS, whatever it may be. One of the things that comes up is when we're integrating something like DNS or grip, which are based off developmental kinesiology. We have strict neutral lines with the body, how we load the shoulders, how we keep the neck, the cervical spine in alignment with the thoracic spine and the lumbar spine, so we don't lift with our head tilted back. We cover all these cues, and one of the things that ends up happening is we go from that to natural movement, and all of it goes out the window with a lot of it, and they're kind of curious as to why do I have to use it really strict here and not over here. And the main thing is that it's very dependent upon whether or not I'm loaded up in the movement. If I'm underloaded in the movement, now I need more strict form. If you look at Ido Portal's system, or you look at the parkour guys, or maybe like interpretive dance or break dancing, their neck and their head are all, they're twisted, their body's twisted, they're morphed. With that, if I'm looking at it, right, the body is in these, what we would assume are compromised positions. But the big difference is I'm not doing that under hundreds of pounds of load, right? If I'm doing a deadlift and I'm lifting a couple hundred pounds, I need those neutral lines to make sure that I'm doing it in a safe manner, which is why I teach a neutral cervical spine, loaded shoulders, intra-abdominal pressure, cueing out of this. I don't squat with my knees all bent in like this. Right? And with that, I'm under load, so that's what's changing it, because under load, that's putting added pressure on the joints, right? On the ligaments, all these different things are going on with it, where if I take that away, absolutely, right? One of the things that we talk about is that when we're doing a lift, I don't want to have a rounded back when I'm deadlifting or squatting, for instance. We don't want kyphosis, right? But I can do that for sure. Like you see a lot of people that squat. If I'm in my seated squat, right, and I'm just resting, you're gonna see me in a rounded position, right? You're gonna see me with a rounded back. Once I need to lift something, I'm gonna come more neutral, and then I'm gonna lift that, because I need to have structure with that lift, versus here where I'm just resting and hanging out. Like I said, this ultimately comes up when I'm switching them from here to natural movement, and we're dealing with movement patterns where it's a lot more loose with what we're doing. So being conscious of that and understanding that load is the determining factor. If I'm under load, especially when it's heavy, I need more strict form with that, right? Once I change and I go from that to no load, right, or very small amount of load, now the form can be different and I can move. And like I said, it's gonna be dependent on what you're doing. Natural movement, expressionistic movement, dealing with Ido Portal system or parkour or MoveNat or whatever it may be. Those things change. And even in that system, I would have structure, right? Depending on what it is. And even in those systems, where that changes is once you add load. Even if I'm doing a muscle up, for instance, I'm gonna deviate a little bit away from insanely strict form, but also I still need form. I need to make it somewhat uniform with how I'm doing it, and then building strength in that position, and then I can kind of tweak it, which is where you see more of the calisthenics, where people are doing a lot more movement-based things, where they're maybe rounding their back or lifting up or walking their legs out, whatever it may be. That's where it can change a little bit. Still has somewhat form, but I can be more expressive in that movement. So something I wanted to clarify and make people more aware of. Strict form under load, take away that load, little to no. I can move in those patterns, right? It's just making sure that my body can handle it also. And like I said, I'm not gonna add a ton of weight to that, a ton of load to that, if I'm not safe, right? So building up strength, and that's where strength is important, because it makes these more expressionistic movements much better, right? I'm gonna be much safer, more stable in those positions when they have that. One of the things I talk about is my wife is hypermobile. So she can get into a flat-footed squat, feet together, butt all the way down to the ground. She can sit upright, insanely mobile, right? Like I said, she's actually hypermobile. The problem that arises with hypermobility is that usually there's a strength issue. Not always, but there can be, and with my wife there is. So if she's in that position, if I hand her something heavy, she'll collapse. She can't maintain that position under load. Now she's compromised. Now we have a problem where if it's too much load, she could hurt herself. But because she's hypermobile, I need her to strength train more so that she builds up strength in those positions, and now they're much safer for her. So that's it for today. Just something I really wanted to cover, and I'll shoot more videos kind of talking about subjects like that I talk about with my clients, because I think it's very, very important people understand the difference, and then it becomes something that's more aware with people in the gym. Because a lot of times they're not aware of that. They're just moving weight, which is good. Now we need to kind of gain some of the back end knowledge that goes with that and understanding the intent of what we're doing with that as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. Pumping out more content. If you want to follow along, hit the subscribe button for me. If you like the video, hit the like button for me. If you have any requests for things that you have questions, maybe you want answered in something like this, or there's a movement that you want a little bit of help with, let me know in the comment section. I will for sure shoot those videos for you guys, because it just gives me more content that I can put out there, and kind of like a guiding light with where I could go with all of this. So thank you guys so much for watching. Check back soon for more videos.